So I have a card video for you today. I did a little shopping over at a Cherry on Top, and I bought some items, or I chose some items that match this year's Pantone color of the year. And I thought it'd be super fun to do a card video, make 2 cards with my products here, and show you what you can find in the store that's those colors. So I have 3 Distress Oxide inks in Blueprint Sketch, Stormy Sky, and Chipped Sapphire. So I have a little bit of color variation from that true blue color. So the Blueprint Sketch is closest to the Pantone color. But then I went ahead and got some Chipped Sapphire and Stormy Sky to give me some color variations when I make my cards. Catherine Pooler's Juniper Mist. So I did not have to get this in the Cherry on Top store because I already own it, because it is the most beautiful navy, true, fabulous blue ever. But you can get it in the store, and I pulled it out to use it as well. It's a gorgeous, gorgeous blue. It's called Juniper Mist. I got these cute little Doodle sprinkles. They're super shimmery and really, really pretty. And they have that true blue color. And then we have Pink Fur Studios. This is a pigment-based liquid watercolor. And I'm trying to find what is it called? The name of it is Sapphire. And then I got some Huckleberry Pie cardstock. So I'm going to use this Huckleberry Pie cardstock as my card bases. I'm going to do 2 cards with 2 different kind of fun techniques on them. I'm going to use this true blue Huckleberry cardstock. I ended up getting 5 sheets because I think this is a really pretty cardstock, and I was thinking that I'd probably use it maybe for a cut file or something on another project. So I'm going to go ahead, so I went ahead and got 5 sheets of it, but I'm just going to use 1 sheet for my card bases. And then I have a bit of hot press watercolor cardstock. I'm going to use this for my more water heavy technique that I want to use for one of the cards. Then the other card I just have plain white cardstock here because I'm just going to be stamping on it. Speaking of stamps, from the Cherry on Top store, I got Doodlebugs Designs, a set of Doodlebug stamps. So I am not a fan of Doodlebug's papers and their little critters and stuff. Not really my, just not my style. But these stamps are the bomb. They're from their Love Notes collection. I can't talk. They're called the I Pick You Doodle stamps, and they, guys, look, you can like layer the little text. So I'm gonna have fun creating little elements for the card, for a card base. I'm gonna stamp these up, and then we can do, that's why I got the different colors of blue, because I can layer the stamps and make them really, really fun. And then this is just for my stash. I grabbed a Simon Says stamp. It's just kind of like cute little sayings and things. Hello, friend. Very nice stamp set. I'm going to use that for the sentiments on my cards. So I'm going to go off camera. I'm going to cut down this blue and this white cardstock to card bases and card panels, and then we'll get stamping, and we're going to do a little bit of a fun background with this watercolor, and yeah, it's going to be awesome. So I'm going to make 2 cards today. I'll have lots of fun little things, and if you look down below, you'll find the link to all the products that I'm using. They're all in the store at a Cherry on Top, and I think since I you know, when I placed my order, I wasn't 100% sure I was going to end up with the right shade of blue, right? Because I was doing it from a computer screen, but I gotta tell you, I kind of rocked it. I did really, really good in my choices, so I'm super excited about that. So let's make some beautiful true blue cards. Okay, so this video has a lot of repetitive things going on in it. And I didn't want to bore you to tears, so I skipped ahead a little bit, and I'm just going to talk to you about each of the steps I took to make each of the stamps without having you watch things be super repetitive. So I'm using the Stormy Sky Distress Oxide Ink, which, by the way, is this beautiful, gorgeous, like opaque denim blue color. If you don't have this in your collection, I highly recommend it because I was so impressed. I was impressed with how this Oxide stamped, and I was super impressed with the color. The color is just spot on gorgeous. It's like the most perfect blue. So I am stamping a background design on this card. I'm using the Doodle stamp set, which I was super impressed with too. This is a really high quality stamp set. They're photopolymer. I didn't have to stamp anything twice. Like they just right out of the box stamped lovely. I need more Doodle stamps in my life, I've decided. So I hope they come out with some more super cute ones like this one. So I'm just going to go ahead and I'm going to stamp a background. Now this flower has a stem on it, and this stem is like the layer on top of this denim. So I'm taking that stem and kind of just placing the stamp there. I'm not ready to stamp the stem, say that 10 times fast, but I want to get the placement right so that when I go back in with the darker color, I can use that stamp in there. Okay, so I'm doing things that are pleasing to my eye. I'm putting small ones and big ones and just different ones in there. There's so many fun stamps in this collection. And then a lot of the stamps have layers that you stamp on top, but you can pick your layers. So there's different layers that you can put with the same like base stamp. I hope that makes sense, because I was loving the stamp set. I loved using it. It just was so cool. So I'm going to come in with the layers now. I'm using the Juniper Mist Ink. Juniper Mist Ink? Yeah. From Catherine Pooler. If you've never used a Catherine Pooler ink stamp before, or ink pad before, I highly recommend them. They're super fun, really juicy and like easy to use. They're totally different from like my Altenew inks or anything like that. I only have a couple colors, and the reason I only have a couple colors is because they only come in the big inks, and I don't have a ton of storage for inks. I have my, and also, let's be honest here, I have every Altenew mini ink cube there is, but this is by far my favorite navy, and the ones that, the Catherine Pooler inks I do have, I really, really like. So if you're looking for a really great ink pad, or really, like you're starting your collection. If I was starting my collection, I would go with these Catherine Pooler inks. I'm sure that I will be buying a couple more colors because they have a gorgeous shade of like coral and mint, and you guys know how I feel about peachy colors and corally colors and minty colors. Those are my favorites. Layering on top of this stamp set was so easy. So easy. Anyone can do it. So easy. And I absolutely loved the stamps that had that text print that you could put over. So I'm just going through here with the Juniper Mist Catherine Pooler ink, and I am stamping this beautiful navy color on top of the Stormy Sky Distress Oxide. So, tip and trick, go ahead and stamp your background with the oxide inks, and then let that oxide ink dry for a bit. Let it soak into your paper and really dry. And that will make sure that when you put the Juniper Mist ink on top of the oxide ink won't react, because it'll be good and thoroughly dry. And that's what you need. So the Doodle stamp set has these really cute like little dot stamps, and I just used them to add a little bit more detail. I'm also going to use something else to add a little more detail to this background, but I really wanted this background to be a full pretty background because I'm not going to cover it up. I'm going to use this as my card, and I'm just going to add a very simple little sentiment. So the background can really, really shine on this card. We have lots of different layered stamps, and then we also have some really great little dots and colors, beautiful, beautiful colors. I am usually not one to follow like the Pantone color of the year type thing, but I really loved this year's color, so I really, really wanted to play with it. And I have to say, I'm super impressed with the items that I purchased and got, or the items I got from a Cherry on Top. I picked everything I bought I was happy with. I loved the color was right on. The stamps were gorgeous. So I'm going into my stash right now. This is an older stamp set from Kathy Zilski Designs. You can find them at Simon Says Stamp. I am just using this card sentiment that says, "Sorry, you got the crud," because I just thought that that would be perfect. And this is just a sentiment stamp set from my stash. There aren't any sentiments on the Doodlebug stamp set, which is totally cool with me because those layered elements are adorbs. I'm just going to trim that up. I'm going to give the end a little, like, I don't know, like a ribbon cut maybe? And then I'm going to go ahead and ink the edges of the sentiment, and I'm going to apply the sentiment using some foam tape or foam adhesive, and done. And then once I have the card base attached to the card panel attached to the card base, I'm going in with some Nuvo Crystal Drops in Morning Dew, my favorite, absolute favorite. It dries completely clear. They dry beautiful. I love them. Yeah, they're really, really nice. And they add just that little something. Okay, second card panel. I'm going in with Distress Oxide in Blueprint Sketch. I am going around the entire, just outside edge of the card panel with the Oxide ink. And I'm just going to blend and blend and blend and blend until I like what I got. Just keep blending. Now I'm throwing watercolor ink on this layout, on this card. So I took the Pink Fresh liquid watercolor. I held it up high. So like I had my hand literally like right up against my iPad, and I just let that ink drop, and it rocked. It splattered to perfection. I love it. Yeah, I was really happy with that too. So I will probably be buying a couple more colors of the Pink Fresh liquid watercolor just for the sole purpose of being able to like get those big splatters like a pro. Love it. I went ahead and stamped another sentiment, and I am just going to put it on here. Now, this card, you have to wait till the end to kind of get the whole feel for this card, because that watercolor ink, the card panel I used was hot press watercolor paper. It took like an eternity for those big ink drops to dry, which is just, that's how it works when you have the big ink drops. It takes an eternity to dry. So I wasn't able to do as much on this card front right now in this crafting section. And then I ended up putting the card panel on a white card base, not the Huckleberry Pie, just because I liked the white better. And if in the pictures, you'll notice that this card panel is a different white than the other card panel, and that's because this card panel used that hot press watercolor paper, and the other card panel just used some coconut swirl cardstock from Basil. So just an FYI. I'm now adding the little Doodlebug sprinkles, and I'm adding them in little clusters all over the card. My sentiment reads, "You totally got this." And I also kept this one pretty simple. I love how this one almost reminds me of like a modern art piece, if you will. It just worked so pretty. I'm super happy with both these cards, and I'm loving this color. So if you don't have any of this beautiful true blue color in your collection to play with, I highly recommend stopping over to A Cherry on Top and grabbing some of these products. None of these products have a really high price point. They'll ship pretty easily because they're small, but it will give you that beautiful blue to your scrapbooking collection. So I'm just adding more of these little sprinkles. I'm going to get the sprinkles everywhere I want them. And then I'm going to set this aside to dry, completely dry. And then I'm going to end up putting it on a white card base, but you'll see that in the close-ups. Have a wonderful, wonderful day. I will see you all again soon. And yeah, I was so happy with how these cards turned out. They turned out so cute. Thank you so much. Talk to you soon. Bye.